Hello guys, hope you're all doing well. Today I'll be walking you through my favourite support guns and skill trees. Support is one of my favourite classes to play in BF5, contrary to most of the previous Battlefield titles, and much like with the assault class, there are some really varied and fun weapons to play with here. Medium machine guns, light machine guns, shotguns that also operate as rifles, it's got the lot. To get started though, let's talk about the devastating KE7. What's not to like about the KE7 then? I imagine if you've played BF5 for any length of time, you've been killed by this thing a lot. It's the default starting support weapon, and of course we all know by now that that means it's already fully upgraded with specializations, and to be honest, it's pretty good even without them. The main plus of the KE7 is that it's super accurate, and for the most part you can go full auto at most ranges and still get kills. The recoil is beautiful on this thing. If you decide to prop up the bipod, then you're going to be able to increase that range even more. It also fires really fast, and that firing rate can be increased via specializations. It's a bit of an all-rounder too. You can go into the central church on Devastation and get some good kill streaks, or you could possibly sit back with your bipod deployed, say on the bridge on Twisted Steel, and still do well. Perhaps a mixture of both. The KE7 can do it. Some might say that the KE7 is too strong for a starting weapon, and there's a reason to suggest that they would be right. It's arguably one of, if not the strongest gun in the support class as an all-rounder, bar from say the FG42 and the M30 Drilling for ultimate memes. I'm going to go ahead and say the KE7 is one of the best guns in the game, full stop right now. So what about these specializations on this thing? Well, here's what I've gone for. For the first spec, I've gone for improved accuracy in aimed fire while moving, and then instantly moved across to the left hand side. The reason for this is that I want the improved rate of fire perk. The default rate of fire on this gun is 568, but with the light bolt specialization it goes up to 638. It may not seem much of an increase, but it makes a huge difference. Alongside that, you'll also get less vertical recoil in the left hand tree, and I also opted for the 60% movement increase while aiming over the reload speed decrease. The next weapon you'll get in the support class is one of the medium machine guns. The KE7 is a light machine gun, but the MG34, which we're looking at now, is most certainly a bigger beast. Now, the medium machine guns in BF5 operate a bit differently from their light counterparts. In fact, they can't properly aim down the sight without you either utilising the bipod, say on some cover or a window, or by being prone. If you aren't doing either of those things, then when the weapon does zoom in, it will just slightly aim in a bit when you aim down the sight, but it's very inaccurate. It's good enough to get you out of a jam up close, but for the most part you need to try and alter the way that you play to adapt to the weapon, and it does take a bit of getting used to. MMGs are difficult to use, but they can pay off. You've got to make sure that if you've got the option to go prone, then do it, and always be looking around for places where you could utilise the bipod. When you get into a rhythm with this gun though, it can be a lot of fun. I think mainly because it's quite challenging to use as well. It's incredibly situational though, but can be a beast. When it comes to the skill trees, I've opted for the left tree in its entirety. This will give you less vertical recoil, reduced muzzle flash, an extended ammo belt that increases the gun's capacity from 50 to 100, and then the light bolt again, which increases the gun's rate of fire from 670 to 770. The right hand tree offers you up the option of a better weapon cooling, so you can fire a bit longer and run magazines with the 75 round capacity that reload faster. The reason I went for the 100 round mag though, rather than the drum mag, was mainly down to visuals. I didn't want those drum mags blocking my view. I also wanted the extra rate of fire, that's always welcome. Next up is one of the only two shotguns in BF5 at the moment. This is the 12G automatic, and to be honest with you, there's not a whole lot to say about this really. It's a reasonably slow firing shotgun that does a good amount of damage up close. It's okay. It was also pretty easy for me to spec this out. Improved ADS speed on the right, then a shifty over to the left to get the heavier buckshot load with a 2 meter lethal range. You then also gain access to penetrating shot. That means your shot's pellets can penetrate soldiers and deal damage to additional targets for collaterals. The last spec is probably the one that's a bit of a toss-up. You can either gain the extra firing rate, which I went for, or the extended mag that gives you an extra 2 shells. Up next is arguably one of the most unique looking weapons in the game, the Bren. Why is it unique? Well, the huge vertical magazine should give you some hints. The Bren is an okay gun to use though. It fires relatively slowly compared to some of the other guns, but I don't mind that if you pick your fights and sit back a bit. The problem, of course, comes with visibility, and it's a pretty big problem, and the reason that I won't use this gun regularly. The magazine makes this gun super unique, and it will definitely remind you of World War II games of old, but the magazine blocks so much vision that it becomes a bit annoying to use at times. So most people at the moment won't even try this gun out. The Lewis gun that we're about to talk about though just operates a bit better than the Bren in my book without that huge downside, so what's the point of it at the moment? I think it needs looking at. To spec it up though, I went full right hand side. This gave less horizontal recoil, improved accuracy in aimed fire when moving, better aim down the sight speed and faster bullet speed to hit moving targets. Left hand side offered up better accuracy with the bipod, faster reload and weapon switching as well as less vertical recoil. I just felt that the right hand side was a better fit with my playstyle, although I doubt I'll be using this gun much. And we just talked about it, but up next is the Lewis gun. This of course will be a familiar gun to those that have played BF1 or perhaps remember Battlefield Hardline. Anyone remember the Syndicate program? This was the secret gun that you unlocked. Perhaps it was foreshadowing that the next Battlefield game was going to be set in World War I. Well, in BF5, I really liked the Lewis gun, and I think it's worth sticking with it in the early stages. When I first started using it, I wasn't all that sure about it, but when it's fully spec'd out, it really does drop people at medium ranges. It's also super accurate. I threw a reflex sight on top of mine and I felt comfortable taking players out at medium range, and then when it's bipoded, it's even better. I enjoyed using the Lewis gun just way more than I thought I would though. I thought, well, it was okay in BF1, not very good. Shall I give it a look in BF5? Well, yeah, you should. It looks the same, but it handles completely differently to how it did in BF1. It's a bit of a beast in BF5. When it comes to specializations, I changed it up a bit. Normally, I would go for a faster ADS speed, but the other choice was improved bullet speed, so I went for that this time instead. I then followed that up with less horizontal recoil and improved accuracy in aimed fire while stationary before moving back to the left side of the tree to give myself less vertical recoil. Normally I wouldn't bother with the vertical recoil perk unless I've got no choice in the tree, but in this case the other option was accuracy when bipoded, and well, for the most part on this gun I just didn't think that I needed that. I like to get up and go with this gun. It can aim down the sight while moving. It's pretty decent. Moving swiftly on to one of my favourite guns in the entire game, the M30 Drilling shotgun. This thing is a meme maker. It actually reminds me a lot of the Martini Henry from BF1 when it was hugely popular early in the game's life. Now, why would I compare it to the Martini Henry? This is a shotgun after all. Well, it's not just a shotgun. This is an interesting weapon because as well as being a double barrel shotgun, it also serves as a rifle too. What do you mean? Well, by pressing the rate of fire button, you can switch it from the shotgun barrels to the rifle barrel underneath, and that gives you one shot before you've got to reload it. And if you can land that one shot on an enemy's head, and even at range, you're going to get a kill. If you get into trouble or perhaps don't land that headshot, well, you can flick back to the shotgun as they're reloaded separately and then fire off those two shots to finish off the kill. It makes for some incredibly satisfying kills if you get it right, but of course it can be extremely frustrating if you mess it up. And that's what makes this gun particularly interesting and fun for me to use, because I think it's got a real skill gap and it's both challenging to use but really rewarding if you nail it. Okay then, specializations. Well, the first specs offered up either an increased rate of fire or better speed. I of course went for the improved aim down the sight speed because with only 2 shots I just wasn't sure the rate of fire was that beneficial. Now normally I would stay on the right hand side and get the improved accuracy while stationary and the extra 60% movement speed when aiming, but I felt for this gun I didn't really need it. If I land that headshot then I really don't need the extra accuracy, and so I went for the left hand side of the tree, which offered up a heavier buckshot, a choke which tightens up the pellet spread, and penetrating shot which allows pellets to go through multiple targets, and that's something I think that you need on shotguns just for the collateral factor. So how can we possibly follow the M30? Well, with the FG42 of course. This is one of the most iconic looking World War II weapons, and it's a very fast firing support gun just behind the 2 medium machine guns. At close range the FG42 just shreds people, and if you've played the beta you will have had a chance to try it out already. I've popped a reflex sight on mine, but that can sometimes make it a bit harder to track targets. It kicks quite a bit at range too, so sustained fire when you're not bipoded or prone can be a bit tricky, but at close to medium range you can full auto people to death. The main drawback of this gun, while it's exceptionally fun to use, is that it's got a really low magazine size of 20, so you're going to be reloading a lot. If you use it, you're just going to have to accept that you'll be reloading as often as you're shooting. Sadly, there's no extended mag in the weapon specializations for this one. There is, however, a bayonet. Ugh, no one wants that, especially on an LMG, so I went full right hand side for improved accuracy while moving and stationary, as well as less horizontal recoil and 60% faster movement speed when aimed. Love the FG42, it's great. Last but not least, we've got the devastating MG42, the Buzzsaw. This is the final unlock on the support class, and it's the second and last medium machine gun at the moment in the game. The big brother, if you want, of the MG34 that we looked at earlier. Now, they operate much in the same way. You need to be smart about how you play with it because you're going to be incredibly inaccurate unless you're using the bipod or lying prone. That being said, this gun does offer up some benefits over the MG34. First of all, it fires faster. The MG34 fires at 770 rounds per minute, which is no slouch, but this thing fires by standard at 981, and get this, you can increase that to a mesmerizing 1200 rounds per minute in the specializations if you want to. That is a crazy fast firing rate. And this gun already drops people, so if you're lying prone and you aim on someone, hold mouse 1, hold right trigger, they're going down in an instant. It's an iconic weapon. You can even shoot through sandbags and most walls and materials with this. Wall banging is a treat. In terms of specializations, I didn't actually go for the 1200 rounds per minute, and instead I opted for a different route when I spec'd it out. I took the 10% extra bullet speed to help hit moving targets, and then instead of taking the rate of fire increase, I stayed in the right hand tree and chose to equip the extended ammo belt, and this will give you a magazine size of a whopping 250. The problem with going with the extra rate of fire is that you're going to be stuck with a 50 round magazine which you just blitz through in a matter of seconds, and you're constantly reloading this long reload. So I chose the extra bullets because the gun already fires more than fast enough. I mean, come on, you're getting 981 rounds per minute. And the extra bullets are just the better option here. I think it's a no-brainer. I also have the chrome lining, which means your weapon overheats slower, and then I opted for a faster reload rather than more damage against aircraft. I just don't think players on the ground are going to be shooting at aircraft with medium machine guns that often, and a faster reload could save your life in a pinch. All in all, there are some really interesting weapons in the support class that really force you to change up your playstyle, and if you want to utilize them to their full capacity, you'll have to do that. But you know what? It's really fun and challenging. I love the support guns in BF5. If you're using the KE7, then you'll be a really good all-rounder, whereas if you choose the medium machine guns, then you're gonna need to play a bit more defensive and think about how to use fortifications. And if you opt for something like the M30 Drilling, you've got to really be accurate and land those shots. At the end of the day, it's just got a great blend of weapons. And that's all for my weapons guide on the support class. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, leave a like and perhaps a share, a comment down below what's your favourite weapon in the support class. And please feel free to share this video with anyone who's looking for some guidance. If you didn't like it, dislike it, not a problem. Subscribe if you want to see more BF5. Remember to hit that bell for notifications, and I'll see you in the next one.